My name's Dave Newell. I wrestle as Dave Mercy.
My actual name is Oliver, and my wrestling name is Rampage Brown.
I'm Mark Andrews. I'm 22 years old from Cardiff, Wales.
My name is Harry Ramakrishnan, and I perform as Pariah Khan.
My name's Eddie Dennis. I've been wrestling professionally for, I think, about 5 or 6 years.
Hi, I'm Joshua Powell. I currently wrestling as Delta Rush Jr.
I'm Ethan Beach. I usually wrestle as Ethan Silver as one half of the YOLO Squad tag team.
I am Mike Bird. I wrestle as Flying Mike Bird occasionally, which is a complete misnomer because I blew out my left knee and I no longer fly. But I'm still Mike Bird. I drop people on their heads and kick them in the face very hard.
British wrestling has really escalated in the last year or two. It's gotten busier for everyone, and to be around and to be kind of relevant at this time in Britain is great. It's
definitely a resurgence. Definitely like a new fresh wave of talent, a new fresh wave of shows and all that kind of stuff. And there's so many good guys as well. So it's on the rise at the moment.
I mean, even since the time that I've been wrestling, you notice a big difference. Yeah. I mean, when I started, admittedly when I started I was on much smaller shows, but when I started, shows like PCW drawing 800 people didn't exist. Shows like Progress drawing 700 people every other month, that didn't exist. ICW drawing 1,500 people, that didn't exist.
I just think like there's so many different shows coming up now, and there's such a mix of British wrestling and American indie style, so you're guaranteed to have a mix of things on the show. So you know, if you have the marquee crowds, they're going to be entertained, and if you have the kids, they're still going to be entertained. Like, you're not going to go walk away and be like, oh well, there's nothing there I actually liked.
There's a lot of very, very talented wrestlers, and there always has been. I think there's more of a spotlight on it, and I think from that point of view, yes, I suppose you could say there's been a lot more interest. But British wrestling, performance-wise, has always been very strong in ring. It's just nice to see that we're all sort of getting full houses.
They definitely talk about now more positively. It's kind of a rib when they talk about the old times, like you meet people like Ligera, and even you'll see on their social media, they'll be poking fun at themselves from 6 years ago because they know back then they weren't as good as they are now, and the British scene as a whole wasn't as good as it is now.
It's been really surprising, like with the rise of quite certain promotions. Like there's been so many sold out crowds. Like Chaos has been doing great, Progress Wrestling has been doing fantastic. Like ICW in Scotland, all over the country have just been like doing better and better and better and filling out like so many like venues and crowds without even having one import or like one, like not even an import, somebody who's already in the UK but has come back from maybe being overseas. So yeah, I really do think that recently it's just been a proper resurgence of the British wrestling scene, which is just brilliant for all of us.
In terms of the UK scene, yeah, definitely busier than the busiest I've known it. Because we've been doing this and we've seen success. We've sold out all bar 3 shows, and I think a lot of that's to do with the fact that through social media, through things like YouTube, and through also the way that the normal media is starting to perceive it as well, wrestling itself is getting a much bigger exposure than it would have done, say, 5-10 years ago.
They can hear you in Bath!
What? Where's Bath? What? Next to the shower!
I mean, maybe it's just so many years of not anything happening because it's been so quiet since World of Sport, the Wrestling Channel, things like that. And then all the time when you look at the big companies, there was always strong talent from Britain and from Europe. And those guys you knew could work, those guys would always do well. And then I guess for a long time it wasn't happening.
Considering how small the country is, the amount of talented people is insane. There's loads and loads and loads of really good people, which helps because if 50 people come to a show and the show sucks, 50 people will go away and tell their friends never to go and watch British independent wrestling. But if 50 people go to the show and it rocks, then all 50 of those people will go back and they're like, I watched this British small-time independent wrestling. It was way better than WWE. It was amazing.
It's always brought up about going on TV, which I think is easily possible with the amount of promotions. Like ICW has been on TV before, and they probably will be again by the end of the year. I've no doubt in that. But I feel the internet presence of the UK scene's improved so much that it'll start to get to the level of like a PWG or an ROH where their presence on the internet is so well known. There's forums, there's everything that aren't just UK based that everyone will look at.
I've been wrestling, constantly on a constant basis every week for 15 years nearly now, and my profile's not getting any better until I get on the TV and get to these bigger situations. So, and that's all down to TV, and that's when you get recognised. That's when you get seen all over the place, and that's when you become, like a superstar sports, so to speak. And that's when people start finding an interest in you.
Get some bicep and learn to look this beautiful.
It is definitely possible for us to get to the stage where it's not about going to America to make it, it's about being relevant and being able to make it here and making it matter that it is here.
I think there's tons of potential for British wrestling to go onto a bigger platform and to literally, I think we deserve it as well, quite frankly.
It's underground at the minute. I'm sure it can get bigger, but it's difficult because you probably need a lot of companies to either work together, which is always going to be difficult, or you need one company to take a real big risk and go out there and try to do it.
Oh!